Do you fish? No. People who don't fish think that fishing is lazy or boring, but it is the complete opposite. There are 100 little decisions to be made, variables to be considered, and you're never quite sure what made the difference. Did I cast too high, too far to the left? Did I reel it in too slow or too fast? Is the lure too shiny or too dull? Do I stay here or should I go over there? And it's not luck, but you do not know by how much. People are predictable, unchanging, monotonous. They use the same language, they offer the same excuses, they make the same mistakes. People are endlessly disappointing because you hope they won't be. I knew that she would need me. I knew that you'd come here begging for help. This was all predictable, all disappointing. This is why I am fishing, because I am never disappointed out here, because I don't expect anything, because anything is possible. I can be hopeful out here, even in failure. Because I know if I just go out there around that tree, it might be different. Something might be different. Something I do might make a difference.
Yo.
Hey, how's it going?
What is going on, TOS East?
Well, it's happening TOS East.
Yeah, that could be a tongue twister right there.
What's been happening when you're up in your neck of the woods?
A little bit of everything. You name it, we got it.
I heard that Tennessee Vols are ready to play the Wildcats again, in a week?
I think that is next week. I might have to try to score me a ticket to that game.
Yeah, next Tuesday, I think.
Oh, that might have. What time, man? That might affect. That might. Oh no, hang on.
I think it is. I might be wrong.
I was thinking it was. It might be. I was thinking it was later in the week. I might be wrong though. Ooh, 7, Matt. Ooh, that is right. Ooh, might have to do a Wednesday.
Yeah, we may may have to put it off a week or a day.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
All I know is we went to West Virginia and had every emotion available in sports displayed during that game. The Mountaineers thought they had her done, and it didn't work.
Yeah, that was a quality win right there.
They tried, and we gave them the haymaker back. Said, not today, boys, not today.
Not today. Well, congratulations on that big win.
We needed that one. Needed that one bad.
Yeah. Well, we got FLW season is got one in the books now. It was pretty interesting.
And as usual, my picks suck.
And as usual, I dropped the one guy that ends up in the top 10 again.
I'm trying to think. I think I had 3 good ones and 3 bad ones, which ended up being an average finish of like 75.
Ouch.
So literally right in the middle.
Yeah, you were right in the middle.
Man, I could have swore I picked my cousin. I could have swore I did, and I didn't.
I thought you always pick Morgan or Thrift, and then you always pick your cousin.
I do, just because of the namesake.
Yeah.
I mean, I figured a guy with a name like that, what could go wrong?
So we had 2 Canadians, and then an Alabama guy, and a Mark Rose, Arkansas, Tennessee River guy. And Morgenthaler, who's kind of a Midwest guy now, I guess.
You know, Rose didn't used to do that good on some of these earlier tournaments. He's going to be running for an ALY for too long.
Yeah, I think he's picked up on this Florida deal.
I think he has.
He's learned a few things.
Speaking of, Matt, you better dial a number.
Let's get our guest on for this week because, Dave, we got a packed show tonight. We got our guest, Chad Morgenthaler, coming on, and then we got the SSFL Season 3 Fantasy Draft coming up a little bit later.
I'm so excited I'm going to have to pass on it, Matt. I got something going on.
Oh, well.
I'm going to let you handle it.
I'll see if I can't run it solo.
I think you can.
But, yeah, we got Matt Pangrack coming in and joining us this year in the draft. That'd be fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm supposed to be meeting Frogger, Fur, McGregor, Slump, and Skeeter Jim from Oklahoma at Twin Peaks here in a little bit in Dallas.
Oh, you're in Dallas?
I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
So we've been in this group text for like a couple months, and somebody said something about Fur bought the woman a ring, so she could buy him something at Tackle Warehouse, and then one thing led to another, so we're all meeting at Twin Peaks in Dallas.
All right. Chad, you on there?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Chad, are you up for meeting at Twin Peaks in Dallas?
Do what?
Are you up for meeting at Twin Peaks in Dallas? Twin Peaks is the Texas version of Hooters, by the way. Hence the name.
No, let me not say who wins.
I'm working out the logistics now.
Yeah, not who. Wins now, absolutely.
Yeah, we go there for the ribeyes, obviously. It's the ribeyes.
Oh, I heard the food is great. Yeah,
and
the
wings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're paying, Chad.
Yeah, I usually do. That's okay. I'm good with that.
Yeah, you get a top 5, you got to get the bill. Or top 10, I'm sorry.
There you go.
Oh, shoot.
That's what happened.
Sounds good to me, fellas.
So, basically, we were talking about Okeechobee last week, and me and Matt were picking our teams. I said, well, I know a no-brainer right now. And you pulled me through because the rest of my picks were not that good.
You know me, I'm always willing to help.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm glad.
You know what? I said, Chad's going to have a D-bomb. That's all I need to know.
Yes. Yeah, I tell you what, it's a pretty simple deal sometimes. I think we just make it extremely more difficult at times. There's other places that I go to, I wish I could just do the same thing. I mean, I keep it pretty simple in Florida, and it's worked out in the past for me more times than not. It's burnt me a couple of times, but, literally that's it. I mean, it's just, I think some of the biggest parts of Florida, the biggest reason why I can, do a little bit of good in Florida is it's just not confusing to me for some reason. And it is to a lot of other people. I think it just all depends on how you're wired. I mean, I learned how to fish from the first time I stepped on this lake a certain way, and I've been able to expand off that over the years. And I think it just makes you real efficient, and it's not confusing. And every time you step on the water, you're looking for that bite. You know it exists, so you just have to find where it is. That's pretty much it.
How much do you think overthinking goes into fishing?
Probably 95% of it.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, that fish's brain is like little bitty, and we think that they think too much, and it's just a fish swimming around for something to eat, right?
Pretty much. I mean, they eat, they spawn, they swim. That's pretty simple. I mean, and they do adjust to their conditions, which pressure and people chasing them, and obviously changing conditions is their environment, so they have to adjust just like humans do to maintain that survival rate. But I mean, you only have so many things that's going to affect them: high water, low water, dirty water, clear water, cold water, warm water, and what's in between. I mean, other than that, you pretty much got it dialed in. We are definitely our own worst enemies. There's no question. There's 9 billion colors of a rattle trap to throw. How many do you think that that makes that big of a difference? I mean, they don't even hardly see in colors anyway, for the love of God. They see in shades.
Well, I've always said the crankbait, no matter what version you got, has to be the most ridiculous thing for them to eat. A piece of plastic going through the water, either fast or slow, with hooks hanging off of it, and they still choose to bite it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of making adjustments, I have to see the McMillan brothers live down there. They see the changes that go on that lake day to day. But a lot of you guys don't get to get down there. I mean, you were there, last year, but since then there's been a big hurricane. We had a pretty good hurricane season, and a lot of the talk was the lake had changed a little bit as far as blowing out vegetation, moving things around. How was it on you when you getting down there and keeping it simple and dialing in what you were going to do compared to maybe a year ago?
Well, I mean, the hurricane actually probably made it a little bit easier for me, to be quite honest with you, because it had rearranged things so much that once I rode the lake, and that's where a lot of guys just won't do. They just won't take the time to ride. And I know the lake pretty much from the north end all the way down to the south end. So I have to look at a lot of different things, but I could do it in, a couple of days pretty thoroughly. And that's what I did. I just rode the lake, and literally after, the several years, because of me fishing and the experience that I have on the lake, I know what I'm looking for. It doesn't matter how it got rearranged or how it got put there or when it got put there. I know what I'm looking for, and when I just have to ride the lake until I find it. And it still existed, and the sad part about the whole situation is, though, it's getting more and more condensed, because of things like the hurricane, and because of the spraying that takes place on a weekly basis here. It's just continuously reducing the amount of it and condensing the areas that are productive, especially in the springtime of the year. So what you kind of learn what to look for, you just got to ride around really until you find it, and then I mean, I knew first day I was going to fish where I fished the entire tournament at. I had two other areas I was keeping an eye on. They just didn't pan out for me, though. I literally put a fraction of the time in practicing in the area that I fished the tournament in that I did the other places that I found, because I knew the fish were there. I knew that I was more than likely going to fish the tournament there, but I was trying to find backup places depending on what the wind did. And that's the other thing that really affects you down here is the wind. Anytime you get a wind out of the north, obviously it builds the water level up on the south end and it sucks it out of the north end, and vice versa. Out of the east, it sucks it out of the east side and builds it up on the west side. You don't really think too much about it until you realize that you're normally just dealing with 2 or 3 foot of water in a lake of this magnitude. So that's huge. When it sucks a foot of water out from underneath a mat or on a reed line, it'll move those fish 300, 400, 500 yards sometimes. And it's just something you learn to deal with. So you really have to have things all the way around. And then, of course, the water, as the wind blows that in out of that direction, whichever one that may be, it also dirties the water. And so water clarity in Florida is crucial. So, and you have to have backup plans. And that's basically what I was looking as far as I was looking for backup plans in areas that I knew couldn't be affected too awful much by those conditions.
How hard is it for you not to fish history on Okeechobee?
That's a good question. I honestly don't know. I really don't know how to answer that, to be quite honest with you. I mean, I try to keep an open mind with it. But I try to use all that information to my advantage as well, if that makes sense. I certainly try not to get locked up on any one thing, and just preconceived. I try not to come in. The only preconceived is how I'm going to catch them. Where is always the variable that I try to deal with, and I try to figure out when I'm here. I figure if I let the variable explain itself to me, then the rest of it will work itself out. Hey, I did fish a different way. Hey, I caught 2 fish on my way on a swim jig this time, which has pretty much been non-existent out of a pad field of all things. So, I'm just showing my diversity there. I didn't just stick to just the 3 rods and the D-bomb. I did catch cool fish on a swim jig on days 3 and 4. So it just, like I said, it's just trying to use common sense, trying to use what you've experienced in the past, and keeping yourself out of trouble more than anything. That's the main thing. You got large fields you're dealing with typically. That moves the fish around. I mean, you get to fish a 4 mile on a 3-foot flat, and there's 80 trolling motors running over their heads. They move around a little bit, especially when they're locked on the beds. And there was a lot of fish that wasn't on the beds. They were just moving into the area to spawn. And I happened to figure that out and catch them in some of the places where they were stopping. And that just kind of goes into learning how they move around in that stuff and where they're going to and coming from and how they stage. They don't have ledges and creek channels to use in Florida typically, so they have to use what they have available. I guess that's what I meant by it just doesn't confuse me. I kind of just figured it out years ago, and I know where they stop around and under and in and what they come out and do the same thing. So that's where I try to head them off at usually.
Were you able to catch a lot of numbers of fish every day, or were you just keying in on 5, 6, 7 bites a day?
No, I was catching pretty much numbers. I had to move around a little bit to do that, but the first day the numbers were through the roof. I mean, I probably caught 60 the first day. The second day it dwindled down to 25 or 30, and then the third day it was about 20, and the fourth day it was probably 15. And the fourth day, unfortunately, was my lowest weight that I'd had. But at that point, I felt like that I was in the area where just the bigger fish were setting up, and there wasn't a whole lot of males in there. Yeah, it was a stopping point. It was becoming rather obvious to me what was going on. But yeah, that was the numbers and how the count went down. First day was fantastic. I mean, it was fun. But a lot of those fish were 1 pound, 3/4, 2 pound males, just weren't going to help me, And I lost a couple of good fish every day. That was the thing that really disappointed me out of all of it, as I would have 3 or 4 bites every day that was in that 4 pound class range, and that's what I was around. I was not around them giants, and I knew it. I knew I was around like 20 to 22 pounds a day if everything went really smooth and I caught everything that bit, and I would have. I would have laid it in every day with the exception of the final day. I did not have them bites on the final day, but the first 3 days I did. And the third day was the only day that I felt like, I delivered on all of it. But the first 2 days I lost some key fish, and that's just part of it though. Fishing that way and that heavy cover, you just can't catch them all. You usually catch the 1 3/4 and 2 pounders to bite, but then 4s and 5s are the ones that give you trouble and that stuff. And that's what happened to me throughout the tournament.
Did you have a lot of company down there in that area?
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, there's a lot of folks down there, unfortunately. And then, of course, I had to deal with the Vacuum Brothers down there, too. That was an interesting deal. I mean, Brandon and Jared McMillan, they boys can catch them. And they were, out of all the boats that was down there was probably the first 2 days, 50 to 70 boats down there, in the area. So, you kind of play the field and you play how everything's getting pushed around. And, a lot of guys got tied up in getting those numbers of bites that were out farther toward the main lake. And there was a few of them catching some big ones here and there. But for the number of boats and the number of people that were casting on them out there. They were just catching a lot of fish. And you'd look out there at any given time, and there'd be 2 or 3 boats always catching one. Always. Every minute of the day for 2 entire days, that's how many fish were coming into that place. It was just crazy. But then back there where I was, Jared, and Brandon had figured it out, and we were all 3 fishing the same, and the stuff that we were fishing was becoming more and more condensed, and we were all rotating through it. So it didn't have time to rest very long, and we worked on them pretty hard back there, to be quite honest with you, where we were. But Brandon did fish out a little bit farther the first day or 2, and then he ended up coming back a little bit farther where I was. But he was just adjusting to what he was doing, just like I was. So, but there was a lot of boats, a lot of traffic. But you know what? That's the way it is in Florida. If there's a lot of boats around an area, there's a lot of fish around that area.
I was about to say, there must be a ton of fish in there if everybody's yanking on them like that. How long do you think of rest does it take a spot like that to kind of get back to its groove? Like a day or 2, week? Doesn't matter at all?
Me,
that's a good question. I honestly don't know. I think it depends a little bit on the weather, though. So I think that the place can replenish itself very quickly if the weather stays good and warm, and the fish are still coming. But when you hit a cold front down there, those fish just stop. I mean, they stop everything. They stop coming in. The ones that are there run under stuff and in the thick stuff. So I think it's really weather conducive down there, to be quite honest with you. It's just the Florida strain is the hottest strain that I've ever seen in my life to deal with. I mean, you have to go so slow when that water temperature drops 4 or 5 degrees. We're in the Midwest. Crap, that would fire them up 90% of the time. I mean, look at compared to Lake of the Ozarks. That lake gets in the 40s in the fall, and those fish bite a buzzbait like they are mad at the world. But you couldn't get one to come up and bite a top water bait in Florida at 40-degree water temperature if you had 16 years to do it. They're just for animals completely, and that's what people have to understand when you're chasing prey. They just are not like anything else. They do not like cold weather. They get cantankerous. They don't want to bite. They don't want to move. They don't swim, so it takes longer for those areas to heal up.
You know what the weird part about that is? Me and a buddy of mine were texting about that the other day, how those Florida strains shut down there when it gets cold. But that's the big ones getting caught out of, like Chickamauga in the winter, are the Florida strains, which is weird.
Yeah, you're right. It is the Florida strain in the Midwest. It's like they're confused.
Exactly.
They don't know what exactly they're supposed to be doing other than eat. I don't know, but they are. You're right. And that's a perfect example of it. So, but you may be way closer to right than I am. See, I honestly don't know, but I just know that in Florida, when it gets cold, obviously they're done for a while. You have to go so slow. And the bite, usually tapers way off, size goes down, and everything else. Yeah,
that just
I do love fishing down there, though.
Oh, it's a different world, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Well, you got the first one under your belt. You got the first one under your belt with the top 10. I mean, the rest of the year's got to be pretty pumped for it.
I am really pumped for the rest of the year. So I've been putting in a little bit of time on Harris Chain since I've been off. And, Harris Chain obviously is just a few hours up the road. And this lake throws me fits every single time I come here. You look at my track record on Harris Chain, and I suck. That's it. I don't know how else to put it. And I'm like, what in the hell is so much different about this lake than it is, Toho or Okeechobee, which are so close. And it just doesn't fish the same. I don't even know how to explain it because I obviously don't understand it. I'll catch them one day and I can't catch them 2 or 3 days in a row. And I've been working on trying to change that. So if I feel like this is almost, it's one of those deals where if I can just get through this, I feel like I really got a shot at doing really well this year. And I spent some time here. I came down here earlier to look at Harris Chain, and I talked to some friends of mine that live here and fish it all the time, and just trying to make sure that I don't make a bad mistake in this one. But we'll see. But yeah, I am excited about. Anytime you can start up here with almost 200 points right out of the gate, that's big time. When it'll only take 500 or 600 to make the cup, and you're almost halfway there. You're like, yeah, baby, this could be this definitely a nice present right out of the gate. So I'm excited about it, and got a lot of the Costas yet to go too. I'm fishing 2 divisions of the Costa series, and I already fished 1. It was down in Okeechobee, and I fished 30th in it. So you got the championship, and then another berth to the cup there too. So we'll see.
Well, there you go. You may triple. You may end up like quadrupling qualifying.
That's not a bad thing. I've double qualified for the Classic a couple of times, and that's not a bad deal either. I'm telling you,
exactly.
It's not, because you've had a pretty good year. You've fished well, and that's what's really nice.
You've pretty much built a reputation on this. Go ahead and winning early, especially on Okeechobee down in Florida. Just win early and punch your ticket to something. Get off on a good start.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a nice way to do it for sure.
Yeah.
I hated it that they changed the Open this year. We certainly obviously love to be on Toho this week, but they changed the format for when you're in, so that's what kind of caused me to come back to FLW. The schedule was better for me. It's a power fisherman's dream for the first 4 months of the year over here with the Costa schedules and the tour schedules. So I'm like, it is what it is. So here I am, and so far I'm awful glad I'm here. They've been taking good care of me. They're definitely promoting all my sponsors very well, and it's just it's good to be back. It really is.
Well, I think our local or our mutual friend Jinkle has turned into a Tim's Ford local pro.
Yeah,
that's what I understand. I just got off the phone with him tonight, and I told him, I said, he goes, I got him again this weekend. I was like, yeah, I heard. And she did. I was like, yeah, I heard. I said, let me tell you something. That me hearing about it ain't exactly good news for you, my friend. They're liable to run you out of there or leave you in Tim's Ford if you don't settle down just a little bit.
Yeah.
He's got it on fire. He's definitely figuring it out over there for sure.
That Yankee coming down there and catching all them fish.
Oh, yeah, that ain't going to settle well in that area.
No, that's how you end up with a hole in your boat or flat tires on the boat ramp. You know what?
Exactly.
Yeah, Tim's Ford's where they'll boat jack you at night, take your boat during them night tournaments up there.
They don't care.
They'll watch it.
Yeah. That'll get a little rough.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, when you come on up to Kentucky Lake, maybe we can catch up with you. And, I'm pretty sure I'll be up there. I don't know about Dave. I know Dave might make it to Cumberland again.
Oh, yeah, right down the road.
Yeah, so we'll have to meet up, say hey, and catch up on some stuff.
Please do. I'd love it. We'll see how Kentucky Lake fishes. Cumberland, Kentucky ought to be interesting this year. Those are a couple of great events.
Yeah, a little bit of change of I think Cumberland might be the new Beaver if they don't watch it.
Hey, could be. Not far from home, not too far from home.
Yeah,
for Benton.
Yeah. If we could just deal with that smallmouth link limit thing.
Oh
man,
yeah. They're in a
That's tough to swallow, dude.
There's not a person in this section of the state that wish they would change that. Even if they took it to 16-inch, it would help.
All they got to do is just give it an exemption. That's all they got to do. They can make it 15 for the tournament. It don't matter. Just we're going to put them all back. We're going to take care of them at a time of year where they aren't going to lose on any of them. They're all going to be shallow anyway, and it's going to be cool enough. They're all going to be taken well care of. But golly, that 18-inch mark, that changes the game. I mean,
that's a tough deal.
That almost, from what I understand, there's so many between 17 and 19 inches.
Yeah.
There's so
well, the 17
many.
and a half, 17 and 3/4, 17 and 5/8. I mean, there's a ton of.
Isn't that like on Table Rock? Aren't they like a bunch of 14 and 7/8 swimming around?
Spot. Yeah, in largemouth. Yeah, there sure is, because everything has to be 15 there.
Yeah.
Yep. There is.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. You don't think that length limits don't work or doesn't apply to lakes. Look at exactly that. Talk to your tournament anglers and find out on lakes that have odd things like that. And it's exactly what you said. On Table Rock, it's 14 and a half, 14 7/8, and then Cumberland it's 17 and a half, and so on. That's true, man. Catch and release does work, but also, that slot limit's helping it to some extent. It's aggravating, but it does keep fish alive.
Yeah, just ask Clark Winland how tough that 18-inch is from last year.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. We've said 100 times. It's not that Martin won it. It's that Winlet didn't catch the right one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a tough one for him. That's a bad deal. But
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, all right. Man, we appreciate the time as always. You're always nice enough to join us at usually a day or two notice, and we'll be pulling for you the rest of the year, and they'll thump their head again.
Well, I'll certainly give it a try. Thanks for having me on the show, guys. I mean, anytime. I always love to talk with you guys. It's always a blast, and appreciate the support. We'll see what happens. It's lining up to be an interesting year for sure for me. So we'll see.
All right, man. Well, appreciate it.
All right, guys.
All right, Chad.
Thank you. You have a great night.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Thank you for your time. We'll holler at you soon.
Uh-huh. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Well, Dave, I just put my headphones on. I can hear the guys chattering in the conference line. It sounds like everybody's getting ready for the big draft.
All right, man. Y'all have fun.
How about we wrap it up here? It's been a quick guest interview tonight. It's good to have Chad on there. Seems like he always is on them in Okeechobee.
Oh, dude, he's as nice to us as any of them. I tell you what, he's climbing up the ladder of frequent guest, and he's hovering.
He is.
He's hovering at Mullins and Cajun Baby.
I think I'm gonna spend some time and get a list of like our top 5, and I bet you he's up there.
Oh, no doubt,
Yeah.
no doubt. That's the third or fourth that I can think of.
You're right. Well, We'll shut her down there, Dave. We'll talk about our fantasy picks maybe a little bit later for FLW, but we got Bass coming up next week, first event of the year on Lake Martin, Alabama. I think we're going to have a local angler as our guest next week. Give us a little heads up on that lake, too.
All right, man.
All right, Dave. We'll holler at you later.
All right, see you.
Guys, it's Matt. Well, we had technical difficulty with recording the draft. Our conference call website did not record the draft. Unfortunately, I apologize for that. You missed out on some good stuff there, but I'm going to give you a rundown of who picked whom for the draft, and you can follow along at home. The first pick of the draft was Mac, our buddy Mac. His draft went in this order: Jason Christie, Casey Ashley, Steve Kennedy, Brandon Lester, Matt Herron, John Cruz, and Micah Frazier. Roger Dudra was pick number 2. His picks went as follows: Jacob Wheeler, Jamie Hartman, Bobby Lane, Mike McClellan, Brent Chapman, Tommy Biffle, and Andy Montgomery. Third pick was Matt Pangrak. You've seen him on Bass Talk Live and College Bass Zone. Does a show on there with Mark Jeffries. Matt's the new guy in the league this year, along with Roger. Matt's picks went Aaron Martins, Mike Iaconelli, Chris Zaldane, Brett Height, Dean Rojas, Josh Bertrand, and Chris Lane. Surprised Chris Lane lasted that long. He had a bad year last year. He's probably ready for a big rebound this year. Fourth pick in the draft was Rich Lindgren. You've heard him on the show many times, as well as on other podcasts and his YouTube channel where he does fantasy picks. Rich's picks went Jordan Lee, Mark Daniels Jr., Shin Fukai, Jesse Wiggins, Stetson Blaylock, Jason Williamson, and Ish Monroe. Brandon Johnson, also another good friend of the show. Brandon went auto pick because he's down at Kissimmee for the Bassmaster Open. So we just went off his list. He got Wesley Strader, Todd Faircloth, Matt Lee, Mark Davis, Russ Lane, Luke Clausen, and Brandon Coulter. Next up was Brian Holderman. Brian's picks went Brandon Polinick, Gerald Swindle, the last two AOYs back-to-back there, Randall Tharp, Roy Hawk, a rookie, not quite a rookie, very skilled angler. A lot of people are expecting him to run away with the Rookie of the Year award this year. Ray Hanselman, who came up, I believe he came up through the Opens, but he was a really good local angler down there in Texas, especially on Sam Rayburn. Surprising pick there. Brandon Card and Fletcher Shyrock rounds out Brian's team. Henry Engler got KVD for his first pick, followed it up with Justin Porosnik, Skeet Reese, Clifford Perch, Cliff Pace, Hank Cherry, and Fred Rumbanis. Pretty solid team there, Henry. Cody Furr also had a pretty good team. He was pick number 8. He got Edwin Evers, Brent Ayler, Randy Howell, Bradley Roy, Dave Lefebvre, David Mullins, and Adrian Avina. Blaine Myers got Greg Hackney, Keith Combs, Bill Lowen, James Elam, Takahiro Mori, Alton Jones Sr., and Jared Lintner. And rounding out the very end is last year's champion, Tony Posey. Tony went with Ott Defoe, Dustin Connell, Justin Lucas, Seth Fider, David Walker, Caleb Summerall, who was a rookie. Interesting pick there. Won the Bass Nation last year. And then Rick Morris, who was back in the elites this year. Pretty good draft. I wish we could have got it on tape. It was pretty fun. Hopefully we can have some of our competitors on as guests during the season this year, kind of get their ideas of how their team's going, how their draft is going, what their ideas on their draft, what strategy was. Should be a fun time. Just thought I'd let you guys know. There's who was picked. Some names I was surprised were not picked. I won't name them on here, but some guys on there that were left out that should be good free agents. And who knows? Who knows who's going to win? There could be Angler of the Year. Might not even been drafted this year. We'll just have to wait and see. Probably not, but you never know. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to wrap it up here. We'll catch you next week. Thanks.